Good folks, what is up and how are you doing? This is Valentine the Plug and I'm hoping you're having a good one. And I am back in another video, but this video ain't about me. Now this video is about you. Look at you, you diamond ring wearing, Rolex wearing, jet flying, limousine riding, kiss stealing, wheelie dealing son of a gun. You got yourself a studio session and I'm proud of you. I'm super proud of you. But there's a couple of things you need to look over and prepare before you actually head into that session. And I'm here to give you some tips on how to get that right. Okay, so there's a couple of things that need to be in order first before you even agree to that studio session, and I'm gonna break them down for y'all from my personal experience. First of all, setting the date and the time and the location is very important. Date, not so much, but time is very important. You want to make sure that you have enough time to actually sit down with the artists that are going to be in the studio and actually create something. So at the minimum, I would suggest being available for at least 4 hours to 6 hours, depending on, of course, how long you can work without getting fatigued, of course. Location is very important too, because it's going to determine how you're going to get there for transportation. If it's just a couple of blocks away, you're probably good to go. However, if it's at the location where you need to go with public transportation and you're going to be there late at night, you know, after a certain time period, there's no public transportation anymore. So you're either going to have to drive by yourself, ride a bike, or get an Uber. And that's fine if it's possible for you, but make sure that you at least are aware of your options. Usually what I do is I ask people if they can just bring me home, because usually my studio sessions are in the same city, but I have a backup plan just in case, and it usually involves public transportation or an Uber or whatever. So make sure that you got that ready first. Of course, it's also very important to know who you're going to be working with. Look, if the label or the studio owner has a couple of artists in their repertoire that don't really fit your liking, they're not your style, you can't foresee yourself working with them, then it's probably a good idea to just decline and be very thankful for the offer, but you probably can't provide what the artists are looking for. And that's good if you know that about yourself. You can go about that in a respectful manner. The studio owner probably won't take it to heart or anything, because they don't want you wasting their time and they don't want you wasting your time. Also, when talking to the owner or the manager or whoever's doing the planning, it's also important to know what your skill set is. It's important to define which genres you're able to produce, because that allows them to send artists from different genres into the studio with you. But it's also important for them to know what your skill set is. If you're all about making beats, and make sure that it's known that you're all about making beats, because you might get in a situation where they're going to ask you to produce a song and actually track the vocals, maybe even mix the vocals. You know how people keep asking more of producers. So define your skill set and make sure they know what to expect from you. Okay, so you're getting there. You're getting there to building a foundation for a good studio session on your terms. One thing you need to consider is that studio sessions are very taxing for you socially. So if you're like me, I don't have a very big social meter. After a while, I just get burnt out on being social, and I really just like to be secluded and be in an own space where I can just do my thing. One thing you need to consider with studio sessions is that a lot of people are going to be walking in and out your creative space, and they're going to be giving a lot of wanted and unwanted input. They're going to want to interact with you. So you need to find a way to balance that. You need to find a way to be social and at times get some space for yourself so you can recharge and be social again. You are going to have to talk to people. You are going to have to network. You are going to have to answer questions and deal with unwanted input. It's simply the name of the game. And a studio owner may try to accommodate you, but 9 out of 10 times a studio session is also a social gathering. One thing that producers are generally scared of is if they're being put there on the spot and asked to make some beats from scratch. See, I'm a very fierce proponent of having a lot of beats that you can play the artist, but often they don't even want you to play the beats. They just want to create something from scratch with you, and they're right to, because they want your signature sound. Them inviting you to their studio is a compliment to you. It's saying, hey, we like your sound, can you provide that for us too? So what I always suggest is to have a couple of loops in your style made by you on hand, at least 20 or something, that you can flip into a beat. It's time efficient and allows you to really focus on the process of creating a song. What also helps is that you have a lot of melody concepts ready. You can just easily use your smartphone, record them, and when you're in the studio with the artist, you can just work them out and tweak them to your liking of yours and the artist as well. It's about being time efficient, but it's also about taking away that little insecurity, because a lot of us, we are not that talented in cooking up melodies on the spot. We're not all Nick Mira and Cody's. So we got to make sure that we have the tools to be able to provide without wasting too much valuable time. Now, usually when you're invited to the studio, you can almost guarantee that there's going to be gear there that you can use, but it always helps to ask which DAWs they are using, because contrary to popular belief, not everybody uses FL Studio. You may just go to a studio and they're using Ableton or Logic, or you may just have somebody that dwells on Reddit, on music production Reddit, and they're using some shit like Reaper or something. I'm not knocking Reaper, by the way. Reaper is good, by the way. What I'm trying to say is, don't expect people to use the same gear as you. So an easy way to circumvent that is to bring your own stuff. And this is the stuff that I always bring to my studio session. Okay, first up, MacBook Pro 2015 edition. It has an SSD with 512 gigs of memory. It's where I run FL Studio 20 on, and soon also Logic Pro X, for the sake of being able to work in Logic and FL Studio, because some people prefer FL Studio for beats, but they prefer Logic for tracking vocals. So that's what I'm trying to learn myself. Another important piece of equipment of mine is my audio interface. I'm using a Complete Audio 1. The studios that I've been to, they use a very large array of interfaces. Often I've worked with universal audio interfaces. The problem with that is due to the way it's set up, they can't be plugged into your gear, so you're going to have to use the gear that's available there. But for the sake of that, being able to recreate my own workflow, I use my own interfaces. I always have them with me. I don't always need them, but still. Recently, I've always been taking my Complete Audio M32 with me. MIDI keyboards are usually a common occurrence. You'll always see them in studios, but I just like mine a lot because I know how it's integrated with FL Studio and the End Machine, of course. So, and my workflow is kind of really based on Native Instruments stuff, so this interacts really well. So I try to have this with me at all times. Another important piece of gear is my external hard drive. You might be using an external solid state drive. I really don't care, but make sure that your files are on this, that also your authentication files are on this, your loops, your melodies, your beats, your folders, your important stuff for making music is on there. Now, gear also translates to software. What I usually try to do is have at least a couple of industry-grade plugins with me. Obviously, I do most of my stuff on my computer, but my MacBook is more portable, so I make sure to at least have my Ozone 9 on it, my Neutron Free, FL Studio, of course, a couple of industry standard mixing plugins from Waves that I use. Make sure that at least you have the more common industry plugins on whatever you're working with, so that you're able to provide the sound that people expect from a producer that they're flying out to their studio. I will say though, the most important piece of gear to bring is you and your A game. And what I mean by that is that you're well rested, that you're prepared to take input from other people, that you're prepared to learn something new, and that you're also prepared to feel a little insecure, because that's going to happen, because a lot of us are bedroom producers. We are not used to working with other people's inputs. We're used to getting feedback. And with that being said, it's also important just to be at a good place mentally. It's important to feel secure in your abilities to be able to produce something good, so that's really important. So that's why I'm giving you all these steps, because you want to have some kind of rest in your mind before you actually get there. You want to be able to focus on the music solely and not have to focus on getting home, getting there, dealing with people, your social media, your gear and stuff like that. Also, good people, please don't forget you are going to be there for a while, so make sure to wear comfortable clothes. Alright, I definitely hope this video helped you to feel more prepared and secure in your abilities to make a studio session work. If you got any questions, I'd be happy to share more of my experiences. Y'all be easy now. Peace.